Okay, y'all, I'm back finally after a long time of not doing these. So back starting with Luke 15, verses 1 through 10. So it starts off with the Pharisees, and they're unhappy with Jesus because as he came and entered the building, I think it was the temple. Sorry, I didn't write that down, so I forget where. But as he came, he sat and ate with sinners. And so they were unhappy with him because you don't do that, right? And so they asked him, like, well, what are you doing? And Jesus replies by saying, if you had 100 sheep, would you not leave your 99 sheep to go find the one lost sheep? And once you found that one lost sheep, would you not rejoice, right, for finding it? So same with Jesus and same with God. He takes great joy, and there's joy in heaven for, when someone starts following him. And so he finds the one lost, right? And then Jesus gave another example. It would be the same way if a woman loses her piece of silver, like she has 10 pieces of silver and she loses one. Would she not go searching for the lost silver? She would. She'll get her light out or a candle out and go find it. And once she found it, she'd call all her friends and they'd celebrate for finding it. So, likewise, as he says in verse 10, he says, likewise, I say unto you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner that repenteth. So, they celebrate when someone gets saved. Luke 15, verses 11 through 32. A man with two sons. A man has two sons. His youngest son wants to take part of his father's goods and leave. So the father gives the youngest son his portion of the father's stuff, and the son leaves and goes on a journey. The youngest son wastes all his inheritance that his father gave him, and when he spent it all, he's then begging other people for help, and he's like basically living with the pigs for scraps. And so eventually he decides, I'm going to go back home, right, and see if my father will forgive me, and maybe he'll let me work as a servant. So he goes home, and he says, Father, please forgive me, I spent all the stuff. And the father, he goes, can I be your hired servant and work for food and shelter? And the father just rejoices, and he has compassion for his son, and he says, I'm just so happy you're home and you're not dead. And so the father clothes the son in new clothes. He gives him a ring, he gives him shoes. And then he tells his servant to go kill the fattest calf, and let's have a celebration. So the servant goes and kills the fattest calf, and they have a celebration. And meanwhile, the older son is out in the fields working and, doing all the work, the stuff that needs to get done. And he hears all the celebration. He comes in, and he's very angry. He's very unhappy, because he's like, what is this all about? He goes and, spends all his portion of the father's goods, and then comes back and you're celebrating? Like, why is he not being punished? And he's getting mad at the father, and he says, I've stayed with you, father, and served you. And he goes off and plays and loses all his stuff, and then he gets a party upon returning. Like, what's up with that, And the father tells the eldest son, yes, you've always been with me, and everything I have is yours. But be grateful that your brother is not dead and that he's returned to us. He was lost and now he's found. And so this is just an example of how God rejoices when a sinner has found him, and God then shares everything with his children. So then going on to Luke 16 verses 1 through 12, talks about Jesus goes into a story about a lord that hears that his steward, his servant, has wasted all his goods, right? So, and the steward's about to get fired. So to get back in the good graces of his lord, he goes out and he collects all the debtors that the lord has. And he asks the debtors how much each one of them owes his lord, right? And one debtor says, "Oh, I owe him 100 measures of oil." And the steward shows compassion and mercy and says, "Okay, well, forget the 100 and write down 50." So he reduced it by half. And then he asks another one, "How much do you owe, my lord?" And the other debtor says, "Oh, I owe 100 measures of wheat." And the steward says, "Well, reduce it to 40. So he forgave him of 60 of those. And by doing all this stuff, the steward is hoping to get in the good graces of not only his lord, but these other people, and that if he should ever get fired, and he needs help, that these people would help him out, for he just helped them, right? And so the steward was thinking ahead. And this is showing that this is a lesson that God shows us mercy, so we're to show others mercy. God forgives us, so we're to forgive others. Excuse me. So God forgives us of our debt, our sin, when we ask. So Jesus is telling this story and urging us, the believers, to be wise and proactive in our faith, and to forgive others as we're forgiven. And as the steward helped others, hoping that they would help him in return, believers should think ahead and be kind to others, as we may never know that we may need their help in the future. And then it says, use your worldly resources to benefit others. If you're faithful in small things, then you'll be faithful in bigger things. Be trustworthy in all things. If God gives you a small favor, be wise in how you utilize that, because then he might just bless you with more, depending on how you use that. If we can't be trusted with the small worldly things, then how is God to trust us with the heavenly riches in heaven? So, and then let's see. It goes on to talk about in Luke 16, verse 13. It says, "No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon." So basically, you can't serve God and money, so you must choose who you'll serve. So be careful who you choose. Okay, well, I'll leave at that, and then I will return, continuing on with Luke 16.